Justice O'Connor and I were in India on 9/11. We had flown there. We were meeting with the judges of their Supreme Court. We arrived on that very day. Of course, people there were horrified, and there was a tremendous outpouring of support, and people couldn't have been nicer. But it was a time for thought, and really, it seemed to me and I mention it because what was in our minds after a week there, we spent a week there, that the world is really divided into what I think of as the forces of reason and the forces of non-reason. And the forces of reason, well, law is part of that. Law is part of it. Judges are part of it. Lawyers are part of it. And so is everybody else on, other professions. The forces of non-reason, that's the risk, that's the danger. So I rather see that as something that's unifying people across the world, because people across the world do believe in democratic systems. They do believe in protecting basic human rights. They do believe in trying to create economies that will make their people prosperous. And they believe to a considerable degree in international settlement of disputes, things like that too. But there are forces that they have to fight against, which are obvious. So that's in my mind. Maybe that's how I was brought up too. It was after World War II, efforts at cooperation. As you look out today, also I'd say my experience tells me that in a way it's like this sort of somebody weaving a loom. I mean, I'm not a political figure. I'm not in politics. And I don't, and people who are in politics and in very high levels in government may see these international institutions and global politics going on at a very high level. But I say to the lawyers and judges, we're technical people. We're professionals. And at our level, whatever happens at the other, there's a kind of knitting going on. It's like workers at a loom. It's happening in Europe, it's happening in Africa, it's happening in Asia. People are learning from each other, particularly in law. How does it happen? It happens at conferences. People talk to each other. Judges talk to each other. Lawyers talk to each other. It happens as different groups try to create laws. For example, in Europe, they're trying to create commercial laws and bankruptcy laws and tax laws and laws that will govern several they are independent nations, but they're trying to get together. And this is happening, say, the World Trade Organization. It's happening across the world. It's popularly called globalization. But what it involves are people in business, people in law, learning what each other are doing, and they adjust their laws accordingly. It doesn't always have to be formal. We used to have a group called the Uniform Law Commissioners, and they'd go from state to state, and they'd say, California does this, and they'd go to Iowa, and they'd say, Iowa, California does this, maybe you should try it. And that kind of thing goes on every minute as we speak. And then there are different organizations developing. Like the World Trade Organization, or there are dozens of them. There are free trade areas, or there are health organizations, there are communications organizations, there's the internet. There are all these things we know about. They are all forces working to bring us together. So what I see as happening, and it's not a political matter, what I see as happening is people who are lawyers and judges in America today have to be aware, and they have to have a system for being aware of what's going on elsewhere, because the cases in front of them will more and more depend on what's happening elsewhere.